But right now I want to talk about, the economy. It's budget day tomorrow. We had a talk with Simon Bridges, and we talked about the fact, and also a very good piece by Luke Malpass in the Post newspaper this morning, saying we are in an era of real restraint. It is time to pay the piper, and it isn't just a technical recession now. People are feeling it. And as rates go up around the country by huge amounts, and councils set massive rate rises, cost of petrol's up, and one of the big household expenses is insurance. And those rates are going up. A report that Tower has put its premiums up by an average of 20% in the last year. Our next guest cannot talk for individual insurance companies, but he can talk for the industry as a whole. He's the CEO of the New Zealand Insurance Council and former Cabinet Minister under a Labour government. Kris Faafoi joins us now. Kris, how are you?
Good, Sean, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Look, that's a big, and Tower's just the example I'm using, but all across the insurance industry, premiums are on the rise, have risen or are on the rise, right?
Yeah, look, it's been a difficult time for everyone, and we kind of acknowledge that. You did in your intro, so the cost of living is impacting everyone, and the insurance sector obviously has some challenges too. Just coming out the back end and most of the claims after Auckland Anniversary Weekend and Cyclone Gabrielle. What usually happens after that, it happened after Christchurch, happened after Colder, as the international reinsurance market usually does a bit of a reassessment of where things are at, and we see a spike in premiums that again it's happened after other large events, and touching wood, we're just hopefully towards the end of that, and if we have a quiet,
let's be honest about what it is, Kris. It's cost recovery. Because it's just a gamble insurance, isn't it? You get your actuaries and say, what's the chance that I'm going to have to pay out on this policy, and how many policies can I sell? And then when something bad does happen and the industry has to pay out, it just does a bit of a price gouge to recover because it lost the bet.
No, well, that's not the truth, actually. Well, because our premium is made up, Sean, is about 40% of it is the likes of fees and UQC levies, and about 25% for a premium is reinsurance costs. So it's a large input. And when there are events, reinsurers offshore take another look at that market and reassess.
Yeah,
and
so that's exactly what I'm saying. You lose the bet, you've got to pay more to get back in the game. The ante gets up.
And so as we usually do, our members reassess premiums and those kinds of costs when we have big events need to be recouped, because we need to maintain the level of reinsurance and the costs of repairs and claims as well. So, we are concerned about the long-term sustainability of insurance because of that too, because the science says to us that the frequency and the severity of the likes of Gabrielle and Auckland Anniversary Weekend are going to become an increasing issue for New Zealand. So we need to make sure we're finding ways to keep premiums at an affordable level.
Or the other thing is that people stop buying so much insurance, Kris. And I know that after Christchurch, there was discussion after the Christchurch quakes that New Zealand was over-insured as a country. Is it possible people will simply vote for their thing and say, I cannot afford insurance to the level I used to. I cannot afford the cover I had before. I'm going to take a chance.
Well, if people are in difficult financial situations, our first message to them, Sean, is to make sure that they call their insurers and see what options they have. Depending on what product they have, depending on their situation, there are things that insurers can do with the likes of excesses and the makeup of their policy to try and make it more affordable to their customers. And it also advised people to make sure that they shop around. I've certainly heard of stories in the last couple of months as I've been the CEO, of people shopping around and finding a deal, a premium that better suits them, both in terms of the coverage and also the price. So,
that was my other question. Surely the competition heats up in a tougher market.
Yes, and that's a good thing. But I think we've got a very privileged position of 97% of 96 or 97% of New Zealanders having home insurance. It's a good thing. It gives people peace of mind. But we want to make sure that people know if they are finding things difficult, and a lot of people are, that they make that call to their insurer to see if there are other things they can do to ensure that their assets are protected.
Can you see, or has the industry done any projecting as to when, is this going to be one round of cost increases because of these events, or overall is the industry looking to keep on upping premiums?
So what the Reserve Bank put out a very good report earlier this month as part of its financial stability report, and it showed that about, depending on the size of the event, I've mentioned Christchurch and Kaikoura, that there's usually a spike for about 12 months and then things can even out. Tower themselves, when they said yesterday, talking about their half-yearly reports, were saying, again, touch wood, that the rate of increases of premiums will hopefully even out over the next 6 to 12 months, and other insurers are hoping for that too. So we're going to cross our fingers for some calmer waters to ensure that can happen. The long-term challenge that we've got for the insurance sector and for the country, though, Sean, is that, again, weather events like we had 15 months ago are predicted to get more frequent and are predicted to become more severe. Making sure New Zealanders are protected with their assets with insurance is really important. And we want to make sure that the insurance sector is part of the discussion to see how we're going to reduce risk in the future, so we don't have as many people affected by the likes of flooding. And that's not something.
But we aren't having any more extreme weather events. I mean, there's a lot of research to suggest that NIWA's research on that's been faulty.
I'm not going to get into that here, Sean, but the science that we've seen and all the indications is that we need to get ready for more severe and greater number of climate change and weather-related events.
Yeah.
The insurance sector it wants to make sure that communities are protected, and we're not building communities in stupid places like we have in the past.
Yeah.